The New York Knicks dominated the shorthanded Charlotte Hornets and had a lot of fun doing it, especially in the second half. Talking about it right now on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome in to Locked On Knicks. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And your favorite team's podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Knicks daily newsletter, one stop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Knicks daily newsletter. And I want to thank you guys for making us part of your daily routine every single day, whether you're hitting us on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate that. Appreciate you tuning in every day. Make sure you hit the auto download function on your favorite podcast app or the notification bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode, because we are here for you guys 5 whole days a week. And the Knicks are showing up. Well, they've hit 4 days a week now that they have won games in a row. 4-game win streak right now, 125-101 over the Charlotte Hornets. I left this game thinking this is exactly how the Knicks would have approached this sort of game last year. And, they just went up against a bad team, really took care of business against them, made it seem like the Hornets, had no business on the court with them. And that's what you want to see out of a really, really good team is that, the first half, it was a little lackadaisical. I would have liked to have seen a little more out of the Knicks, but they came out in that third quarter, just absolutely dominated Charlotte and, put their foot on the gas and just completely ran away with the game. It's crazy kind of what a difference a week makes. It was 6 days since they, got taken to the wire by the same Hornets team and, only managed to win that NBA Cup game by 1 point last week and all that. And, to then turn around and basically blow them out by, in the end, 24 points, but really based off how the second half went, it felt like they could have blown them out by as many points as they wanted to. At that point, it was just, they settled in once they got above 20 or so and then just kind of had some fun with it. And let me say, having fun was the number one theme for me for the Knicks in this game. They definitely are they're definitely like friends with each other now. You can tell that the chemistry is there. You can tell that they understand how good they're becoming at this point, because everything was going for them in this game. And I think that Josh Hart in particular kind of led the charge with being a goofball. So that's actually the first thing I want to highlight here is just all of the moments where you could tell the Knicks were having a lot of fun in this game. And I think that that is key because I think that, a lot of the times last year where they had their best games, you could tell that, the chemistry was there between at the time, the 3 Nova guys then, with Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Hart, especially down the stretch of the season. You could always see them playing off each other, knowing exactly where the other was going to be, having a really fun time with the game overall. But so here's some of the moments I just noticed during this one that kind of show me like, I think this team really is gelled just at like a personal level at this point. So Josh Hart was arguing with LaMelo Ball on the bench mid-game for like a whole quarter early on. I think that was sort of one of the tone-setting things. Now, I don't know if how good-natured that was, like if that was those two being silly, if they actually had a little bit of beef, if it was a little bit of both. LaMelo, I don't know, just kind of always looks a little angry. So they were showing him talking back at Hart, and you couldn't really tell if it was actually good spirited or if they were really getting into one another. But certainly it was silly to just see Hart like walking up the floor on camera with the ball in his hands a number of times, like just noticeably talking as if it's just, someone playing pickup or whatever, just talking, looking over to the side real quick, being like, yeah, what do you think about that, LaMelo, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It was pretty funny to watch. Then the Knicks were doing the roll the ball inbounds to start the clock, but not start the shot clock trick. They did that a bunch of times, particularly in the second half. And Hart was bringing the ball up a lot in the second half. They ran a unit without Jalen Brunson for a pretty good amount of time. It was kind of nice. It gave Brunson another nice sort of rest day in this game. But Hart was just being hilarious with it, like just like these young, enthusiastic guys on the Hornets. A lot of them are probably playing for their real NBA shot here, and Josh Hart is just sort of walking, like shielding the ball a little bit, and then the guys that kind of shade up, like, "Hey, I'm gonna come up and try to steal," and Hart be like, "No, no, back up, back up," kind of pushing his hand back, just being really silly about it. I don't know, that was really funny. Hart and Cat had an instance, I think in like the second quarter, where they kind of ran into each other for a rebound a little bit, and Hart wound up taking it away at that moment, and um, starting to run down the floor or whatever. And it looked almost like, I mean, maybe I was just imagining it, but it almost looked like Cat, like sort of looked like he came up a little bit, lame from that, just maybe from having to stop his jump earlier or whatever. It just looked like it kind of put him in a small bit of discomfort. And so I would imagine the conversation probably went on the bench after that, him just gently saying to Hart, like, "Hey, man, like, if you're going to get a rebound, can you just yell, 'I got it,' or something, so I know not to go for it?" Because I had to kind of bail out of my jump or whatever. And so then at one point later on in the game, Hart decided to scream, "I got it," so loud that it was very easily picked up by every microphone in the place. I feel like every person in MSG heard him yell, "I got it." And he just comically like, and it was a rebound that he had nobody around him for anyway. I think he just wanted to be a goof, just screamed, "I got it," and grabbed it. And then you could see Cat like laugh in the background and kind of like clapped it up for him, like, "Good job, man. Good job. You did what I asked." There was also another funny one where OG and Cat were sort of in the same vicinity for a rebound later on, and it just kind of bounced slightly OG's way, so he wound up taking it and then just running down with it. And then you could see Cat just sitting there with his hands out in front of him, like just staring at his hands because he thought the rebound was going to be there. And he kind of did the same thing, like stared at his hands for a second, and then turned around and was like, he patted OG on the back and then like clapped for him too, like, "All right, man, good job. That one's for you," whatever. And it was, I don't know. There was just so many like funny moments that I noticed in this one. I think the last one was Cat at one point had some blood on his shorts. I don't know how that happened. He didn't like, as near as I could tell, nothing happened to his mouth or anything or whatever. I guess he had like a little cut on his hand, then he wiped on his shorts or something. And so they made him put a new pair of shorts on, and so the equipment manager like brought him out another pair of shorts for the back, and instead of putting them like taking his existing shorts off and putting new shorts on, he just kind of put them over his existing shorts and just wore two pairs of shorts at that point. But the whole team like crowded around him, made like a changing room for him regardless. I just thought it was very funny. He was laughing through the whole thing. It was, I don't know. I like that the silliness is back with this team. I think that's probably the biggest thing to me because I think that's how you get through a long season. That's how you get better together. Is if you're good to joke together and you're good to have fun together on the court, then everything starts to come together. And I think we've seen that with the Knicks. The more fun they're having, the better they can be. So I hope that that continues on. But yeah, all in all, I thought the defense was kind of uninspiring in the first half. I think the first half was where that was where things hadn't quite gotten super silly yet, other than like the Hart jawing at LaMelo. Um, and the Knicks just kind of looked like they were half trying. It kind of seemed like we were maybe heading towards another game like last Friday, but then they just really turned the heat up in the third quarter. The defense got so much better. They started running in transition like crazy. Everything just got a lot better. And OG Anunoby, I think, was the main part in making that happen. OG had 25 points, 6 boards, 4 steals, 2 blocks, shot 10 of 18 from the field and 3 of 4 from three. In just the third quarter alone, he had 15 points, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. And both blocks were just like crazy physically impressive, like just borderline unfair. It was very Mitchell Robinson-esque. They were both on threes. And the first one, it was like OG recovered out after the ball got swung to the corner and just got out there. And the guy, I think it was KJ Simpson, maybe. Is it KJ? I don't know. Simpson on the Hornets. I think it was him that thought he had a shot and starts going up for it. And OG just flies in there, gets like not just a fingertip, like gets his whole hand on it, blocked it into the crowd, like crazy, crazy amount of athleticism and length there. And then the other one was I forget who it was that was trying to pull a step back on him, but he just stuck with them the whole way. And it was just, I mean, it was no contest. Like if it was over a guard, then maybe it would have worked, but he just stepped right in there and just knocked that ball away. Brandon Miller also was having on his way to what looked like another. I think they said he had a 30-point game streak coming into this one of like 2 or 3 30-point games. Looked like he was on his way to potentially getting another one of those. He had 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting in the first half, but then OG basically was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to make making your life hell my responsibility." And Miller still managed to get 10 points in the second half, but he only shot 3 of 9 in the second half. And OG just generally smothered him, made his life not very fun. And at one point, he got one of his 4 steals was just the one of those where you're like, I don't know how the person passing towards Miller thought this was going to work out, but clearly they thought there was enough space where OG was covering Miller pretty tight, trying to do some ball denial, and the person thought, oh, I can pass it just out to his hand or whatever, and OG was like, yeah, no, you can't, and just snuck his way in there, grabbed the ball. Uh, batted it to himself in transition, which was impressive in its own right. Like managed to keep it away because then both Hornets guys tried to converge and get the ball back. OG kept it to himself and then got out in transition and got a really nice dunk on that. Love that play. And then probably the most unstoppable he's looked on the inside this whole year. I mean, the 3-point shot was falling again, which is great. You love to see the threes go in, but um, maybe it's helped by the fact that the Hornets were a little undersized. They lost their rookie Tijan Salon early. He only played like 2 minutes before he went out, I think, with a sprained ankle. But basically, every time OG got into position down low, he was able to finish with like a strong dunk, and I thought that was phenomenal. I like seeing him playing this strong. That was one of my concerns coming into the early part of the season was they still looked a little tentative with that, coming back from that hurt hamstring and everything. And he looked amazing. I mean, I thought he looked totally perfect. Like very strong, going up with strong two-handed dunks, like also just sort of imposing his will like on the inside. And again, it was helped by the fact that the Hornets are very lacking in depth as far as big players. So I think that he was just kind of taking advantage of that. But all in all, a really phenomenal game for him. He played really big. Another guy that played really big that really surprised me, Mikal Bridges, and he was looking for contact on the inside. He shot a bunch of free throws by his standards, like a half season's worth of free throws almost practically. So I want to talk about him in just a moment because even though he didn't have the most crazy stat line of anybody on this team, he was the one that made one of the biggest impressions on me in this game. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. All right, and I'm back in to keep talking through this game. Let's talk about Mikal Bridges real quick. I thought this was a revolutionary game for him. 19 points, 7 assists, 7 of 15 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3 in 46 and a half minutes. A little obscene there with how much time he was forced to play in a game where the Knicks ultimately won by 20. Played the whole first half and then played the entire second half up to that final minute and a half when he finally got to sit down and get a little bit of rest. Interesting choice by Tibbs. I don't know why. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that Mikal was like blowing the doors off on defense or anything where it was like 100% necessary to have him out there. But maybe he just really was enjoying watching Mikal have the sort of uh, aggressiveness that we've been waiting to see from him so far this year. He had 5 attempted free throws in this game, which I've been harping on that lately, that he's not getting to the free throw line enough. 5 attempted free throws, phenomenal. And they were not just like he got fouled on a 3 and got 3 free throws from that or something like that. I mean, he was like going inside, looking aggressive, He was hunting mismatches inside. He was being physical. He was backing guys down, trying to get under them, trying to get skinny and get up and under for a layup. Like, a little bit, he was kind of like posting up and going almost for like a hook shot sort of once or twice, but still trying to play big inside, trying to, hunt contact and stuff and look for fouls. It was very encouraging. I mean, this is exactly what's been missing out of his game. He's a good scorer that can create for himself, but he's just been bailing out before getting all the way inside most of the time and going for, a pull up mid-range shot or whatever. And some days you just need to, buckle down, get inside and try to get some free throws and stuff. So I was very happy to see him do that. He also went up for a big jam in transition at one point through a little bit of traffic, which was good, and had a layup through traffic at one point as well in transition. So seeing him, get up and play vertical, really good there. All in all, I just thought it was a really big step forward for him with playing more physical. That was my biggest takeaway. I don't think there was anything too crazy, otherwise, like shooting wise or anything like that. The 2 of 7 from three, maybe you want that to be a little higher. I would love if he could string together a few games of shooting really good from three. But all in all, felt okay with that. And again, he by playing physical and whatever, he managed to turn what could have been a less good shooting day into like almost a 50% night by drawing those free throws, getting himself free opportunities and stuff like that. So I thought it was really good. I did think it was kind of absurd that he played 46 and a half minutes in this game. He didn't really look gassed or anything though. So I guess Tibbs just realizes like, oh, this guy and Josh Hart like just have unlimited go. Like there's no stopping these guys. So, I may as well just play them forever. I don't know, but whatever. Yeah, so that a really good game for Bridges, I thought, though. Speaking of really good games, Jalen Brunson, 24 points, 6 of 8 shooting, 5 of 6 from three, 5 assists, just 27 minutes for him. By far the lowest amount of minutes for any of the starters. Everybody else played closer to 40. And Brunson just insanely efficient, 24 points, like about as efficient as you could ever hope to see. 24 points on 8 taken shots and 6 made shots, 5 of them from three. I mean, that's crazy. He did manage to get to the free throw line a decent amount too. And he had 19 points in the first quarter, and that was kind of exactly what the Knicks needed. They got off to a slow start and were letting the Hornets get ahead of them a little too much. I think the Hornets started 16-4 on the Knicks. They were up 16-4, like just kind of were out hustling them, were getting after it more. And the Knicks were just kind of sleepwalking through the first, little bit of the game. And didn't love to see that, but then Brunson just kind of was like, okay, I'm going to start making some threes. I'm going to start making some shots. And everything he touched was gold. I mean, it was just automatic from three. He looked super good on offense. I think I think we're starting to see a consistent trend where he gives the Knicks exactly what they need until the point they start pulling away. And then Tibbs is trying to actively give him the time off. If anyone's going to get sort of a rest night on any given night, it's going to be Brunson. Because it's been pretty consistent where, if the Knicks come out, have like a good third quarter or whatever, he'll leave Deuce out there for pretty much the rest of the game and let Brunson just take some time off unless the Knicks start giving up the lead or whatever. But I kind of like that, honestly. I think Brunson, needs to be preserved. Like this is the guy, and he shows it in games like this where it's like he gave them exactly what they needed out of him, and then Tibbs was like, you know what, we can give you a rest, and everybody else has it from here. But the fact is, that anytime you need, a 20-point quarter or whatever, Brunson can generally give it to you because he's one of the best scorers in the NBA right now, and pretty unbeatable in that regard. So I do hope though that the sort of trend where he's getting the early rest, I hope we do see that come for Cat eventually too. Maybe once Precious gets a little more worked in, we'll start seeing nights where Cat gets to sit down early too, because I think that he's arguably more of a health risk than Brunson. So kind of the guy that you want to uh, prioritize giving rest to more. So hopefully that starts happening for Cat soon too. But that will go hand in hand with Precious, who I thought had a really nice return. Let's talk real quick about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get 150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. And I'll tell you what I'm looking at, my weekly bet against the Jets segment here. The Dolphins at home with the Jets visiting. Dolphins -5.5. I say bet that. I just don't think the Jets are going to win. I don't know. How could you possibly bet on the Jets to win at this point? That's the thing that boggles my mind. I'm glad the odds makers have finally come around. So yeah, that's been Alex's weekly crap on the Jets segment. Anyway, if you want to bet against the Jets, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Betting against the Jets gives you a good chance to win a $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I thought Precious had a really nice return. 2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist in 12 minutes. I mean, not anything that'll blow your mind or anything, or knock your socks off, but really nice return. I thought it was modest numbers, only shot 1 of 4, but he didn't look hobbled at all. That was thing one. I was waiting to see if he was going to look like he was holding back at all to try to protect that hamstring, but clearly they gave him as much time as he needed to get fully back and ready from that. So you like to see that. He also got to kind of get mixed in some interesting lineups, which I think is the main appeal of having him back, is that the Knicks now have a lot of lineup flexibility, and things that they can do to, either play bigger or play smaller or whatever it is that they want to do. Like at one point, he played with Cat at the 4, and well, or whoever you want to say was the 4 and the 5 in that arrangement. But I figured Cat was kind of more of the 5 and Precious was more of the 4 in that arrangement. Either way, whatever you want to say, it looked really good. I think that there's going to be concerns, obviously, with if Precious can truly space the floor enough in that lineup, but it didn't seem to matter because Cat just kind of ran things out of the high post, had a really cool assist where he just like held the ball out real far from the high post and kept it away from his defender. And then Precious got inside positioning on a cut, and Cat just sort of flicked it to him with just his wrist. That's been one of his signature passes lately, like a fully extended arm pass where he just puts a ton of motion on the ball just with his hand and wrist, and got it to Precious. Precious went up, got a nice easy layup there. So love to see that. And then they also got a Deuce, Mikal, OG, Hart, and Precious lineup out there for a bit. And that, talk about a different look for this team. I mean, that's something we haven't really gotten to see yet, in a really, really good way. They were fast, they were switchy, they were dangerous in transition. Like Precious, we didn't see it a ton in this game, obviously, because he was kind of getting his sea legs back, but he's obviously a demon in transition, which, you could run that same lineup out there with Jericho Sims and be like, oh, they'll defend pretty good. That's a pretty solid defensive lineup with how Jericho was playing defense this year. But I mean, Jericho showed it in this game. Unfortunately, I think he's probably played his way back to the bench now in favor of Precious. He came out for a 3-minute stretch early before Precious got his first run and just looked really bad. Like, and especially on offense, it's just like you couldn't put the ball in Jericho's hands. And that's always kind of been the biggest problem with him, is he's basically a 0 on offense. You don't run into that at all with that lineup of Precious out there. And, I think that we saw that already. Like they played really well during those few minutes that it was that lineup. Now, granted, that was when, OG and Hart and Mikal were playing like the best that they were playing all game. You probably put anyone out there in that lineup was going to look good, but didn't matter. I mean, I think it just we'll see that lineup get a lot of run this year, I think, off the bench. Once you put Brunson and Cat on the bench, like if they're the first guys out in the game and you put Deuce and Precious out there, that's like a super dangerous lineup, different lineup, and something that allows you to have a new look out there and, really, I think, tilt the defense a lot. And opposing offenses too, because the Knicks aren't normally a super switchy team, but seem pretty comfortable putting whoever on whoever with that lineup, which you love to see too. Cat had 27 points, 16 boards, 2 assists, 9 of 15 field goals, 2 of 5 from 3. Kind of weird to bury the leading scorer in the game this low in the show, but I thought it was just kind of your average, amazing Cat offensive game where he scored almost 30. He pulled out some of his globetrottery type stuff. At one point, he was like saucing up on the perimeter, hitting behind the back dribbles and stuff, and all that. I mean, that was fun to see. The really nice pass to Precious I already mentioned, where he threw that one. But then he also hit OG in stride with like a vintage like early career Kevin Love esque outlet pass where Cat just like got the defensive rebound, turned around immediately, saw OG streaking towards the hoop, and just like with barely any motion at all, just threw it like pretty much full court right into the breadbasket for OG. He went up for a nice layup there, or sorry, a dunk right there. Just great passing by Cat. There was only those 2 assists for him, but all in all, I just think he's reaching a super high level of comfort, confidence, everything right now. He looks like, I mean, of all the guys look like they're having fun out there, he looks like he is having just a ton of fun playing basketball right now for the Knicks. So you love to see that. And I think it was just another phenomenal offensive game for him. And then Deuce McBride, last guy I'll highlight here, 10 points, 6 assists, 2 of 4 from 3. I thought it was just a automatic Deuce game, but one where I think he was trusted with more playmaking and made good on it with Brunson getting some more rest than most times. So I think Hart was doing a lot of the playmaking for that bench unit, but Deuce, was given some opportunities to kind of bring the ball down and also just get the ball early in the shot clock and be the one to figure out what to do with it. I like that. I like that they're still trying to develop him. He's on his second deal, and he's clearly got an established role that he's great at as just like a scorer and a defender. But I do love to see them still trying to push his boundaries and make him a better player, and make him a better playmaker and everything else. And games like this are perfect for that because you can kind of mess around with some new stuff and see how it goes. And I thought he did really well in that regard. I also liked the cool new action that they ran, which was something that you can only do with Precious and Cat out there. Or that you can only really pull off with 2 bigs, because nobody else really is super aggressive with setting picks, other than Cat. Sometimes Hart, but usually it's just like Cat will be the one that you're looking for to actually get into a real pick and roll action with. And instead, Deuce had Precious come up and set a screen for him, and Deuce was going kind of towards the left. Precious was diving in from the right. And then Precious kind of bailed out right towards the end, right as he was getting towards the hoop, went out to the corner, cleared the paint a little bit. Deuce got in there and then just found Cat real quick, who found his way to the block off of that. And then the defense was kind of tilted, didn't know what to do because I think Cat's defender was kind of paying attention to Deuce, paying attention to Precious a little bit behind him there. And then Cat was able to just get the ball and go up for a really nice, easy little turnaround hook. I really like that action. Hopefully that's something that we see more of going forward. And then Deuce also had a really nice step back 3 that he hit that, I don't know, every time he hits one of those, I'm like, good for you, man. Like, that's a shot that you've really worked on and is really coming together for you. So really like this game for the Knicks. I thought that they this is exactly what you want to see out of them, right? Like, this is the way that they need to approach these games against these bad teams. And going forward, I think we're going to just continue to see them get more comfortable and blow these teams out of the water. And hopefully that comes to be. But anyway, I think that's all I have for today. If you can't tell, I'm still a little stuffed up from my cold that I've had this week. So I'm going to save you from hearing my nasally rantings anymore. But until next time, thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace out, everybody.